What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. My Hero Academia Season 8, Episodes 6 and 7. So, in this episode, basically you have Deku is trying to like transfer All for One into Shigaraki in order to break his psyche. So you see gradually the different quirks go inside, and then so then you see like when his mind, so Deku appears like a visage or whatever inside of Shigaraki's mind, and he sees like Tinko Shimura as a like as a kid. He sees some of his backstory, and whereas Deku basically he can actually feel like the physical world inside there. So it's not like he's just a spirit that can't feel anything. And then while this was going and then basically you see so he tries to cheer up Tenko, but then one thing that happens is so you see Shimmer so Nana Shimura like sees like how her son was like reacting to like how like his views on heroes about basically how she had to abandon him. And then yeah, so this was like and then she like basically apologizes to, her son, and then you see like then both Shigaraki and Deku see the memories of All for One, meaning Shigaraki's father. Like, and they're like, wait, who's this guy? See, and then they realize it's All for One. Then All for One takes over Shigaraki's body and forces Deku out. And Deku has lost his arm. So in the little mindscape, whatever, Deku's hands, collide with Shigaraki's, and that caused his hands to decay. So basically, he lost his arms. Then while it's going, then like you see so you see all of his classmates and a bunch of other heroes arrive using Kurogiri's portals. Basically, so Eraserhead and President Mike were able to get through to Kurogiri enough to where basically he was able to gain enough control of himself to, since a Phantom Thief was injured, he couldn't use Kurogiri's quirk, so everyone basically warped. Once all the other fights were done, everyone warped towards Deku and Shigaraki's location, and they arrived to help Deku. Then Eraserhead and basically pokes Deku with Aries' horn because her horn grew enough to where she could do so. Basically, she tears off the horn. Basically, she doesn't want to use her quirk. She wants to be a singer. Basically, she was inspired by Earphone Jack to be a singer from, the school festival arc, where Aries was, basically had smiled for the first time in years during that little concert, whatever. And then basically, anyway, everyone knows about that, you know. So then, so once Eraserhead and pokes Deku with the horn, it reverses his injuries to where his arms grow back, and basically he of course has lost One for All. Now he has some the embers left, kind of like what happened with All Might, and that sets the stage for the last bit of the battle. So based on the manga, the so basically all the classmates that are not like too injured to fight, they're and heroes, they're there to fight. Like they're there to help. Even the one who retired during during like the Dark Hero arc. So this was and then so everyone's ready to help Deku finish off Shigaraki. And that bit is what, like, if you remember the first opening in season 7, where you see Deku running and coming across all his different classmates and all that, I believe, and I think a lot of people have agreed that that bit of an open was a hint at how the fight against Shigaraki was going to end. Of how, basically, that was just a hint of it, even though I think at that point it wasn't written yet, to my knowledge. But once it was actually written and we saw what was going on, everyone was like, "Oh, okay, we see what they were doing there." And then yeah, so obviously, I think like the next episode is going to be very interesting. Like we're gonna see, I think we're gonna see the end of the fight based on like because I mean a lot of manga chapters at this point when it was were short because Kohei Horikoshi's health, there were there were some issues. He had a lot of health issues, and praise God he made it through. Like you know, basically he's a so obviously these are some. That's why you see more chapters per episode because a lot of the chapters were really short, and so we're gonna so I think see the last bit of the fight next week, and that's gonna be really awesome to see. Like visually, I'm curious in how that's gonna look. So yeah, I really like this episode. The freaking visuals, do all for one coming in right there. Holy frick, that was awesome. And also, the last bit of his last remnant of him was still around inside of Shigaraki, and now he's taken over Shigaraki. Like basically the most powerful villain ever. And you see some people like in the episode like saying just destroy it all, Shigaraki just basically they're depressed. Like and sucks, sometimes the world really sucks. And Shigaraki was seen as a hero to people who wanted the status quo change for well through very bad means. Like yes, there were problems. Does not mean Shigaraki's methods are justified because they're not. He wanted to literally destroy everything. And so yeah, we're gonna see the last bit of the fight, I believe, next week, and that should be really good. So yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Spy Family Season 3, Episodes 6 and 7. So in these episodes, so in episode 6, you have a part 1 is like it's focused on Lloyd. Well, it's mostly focused on the hospital director at the psychiatric hospital that Lloyd works at, Berlin General Hospital. So basically Gerald Gorey like basically has a crush on Fiona Frost, aka Agent Nightfall. And basically Lloyd is very popular with all of the patients and staff. A lot of the women like him, including Nightfall. And Gory's jealous of that, so Gory tries to sabotage Lloyd's work and basically, he unwittingly like helps Lloyd's reputation as a hardworking and humble doctor. And then like Gory basically his jealousy gets point where he tries to contact the state security service to frame Lloyd as a frame quote frame Lloyd as a Westala spy. We know he's actually Twilight. We know well he's trying, but he's trying to quote frame him as something that he actually is. Now, Lloyd had already basically made preparations for something like that, to where he had like Frankie and Fiona intercept any communications, to where basically if someone was reported as a Westall spy, they could deal with it. And so basically, so Frankie and Fiona disguise themselves as SSS agents to arrest Lloyd and then arrest Gory for his own corruption, which Gory does have some skeletons in his closet. So Lloyd says defends Gory says that Gory's actually a good man, and basically, and Gory then respects him, and basically and opens the door for Lloyd to eventually be able to basically be a psychiatric doctor for some VIP clients, which that will be very useful later. I will say that manga readers know exactly what I'm talking about. It, I really hope the anime gets that because, dude, that is just gonna be funny. See people react to one of the things that happens. It's gonna, if assuming the anime gets that far, which I think it will, because the popularity. Then after that, so for the second part, episode 6, then for all of episode 7, this focuses on um basically Anya and her classmates on a school bus. They're going toward a field trip towards a museum, and basically so Anya trying to her friendship plan thing friendship scheme tries to befriend Damien. Basically the food like she brought with her, so she brought 2 bags of peanuts, and she finds other food. She finds like a dog crumb, a piece of dog food, I guess, that somehow got in there. She tries to offer it to a Damien. Now she was being nice, trying to be nice. Damien was like annoyed. Now one thing that happens is the bus driver drives away from the not does not drive to where they're supposed to. Base Everyone's like, and like one of the he's like, hey, wait, what's going on? Then they stop. Some people get on get on the bus, and it's revealed to be the Red Circus, which is a terrorist group that Yor had defeated in a previous episode. Like basically that's the terrorist group that she went after when she got injured. If anyone who remembers that, where freaking oh gosh, so were yours fighting like that terrorist group, and then basically she got shot, and it like basically she she shot your and basically how she was oh gosh, like where Yor gets shot in the butt, and then she's injured and she's just in a bad mood the entire time. Anyone who remembers how funny that was. Basically that was the terrorist group that shot her. And then yeah, so this is the same group. Um, and then basically they hold all the students in that bus hostage. And of course you have big names. You have son of a general, son of a banker, vice chairman's daughter. You have Damien, who of course is the son of Donovan Desmond, the chairman of the National Unity Party. You have Becky, whose father is a major military contractor. And dude, holy frick, her father is so funny. Like holy frick, like Byron Blackbell is so in episodes that you Byron's funny. So basically anyway, so once they go in there, so Anya uses her mind ring powers to learn where they're going. She tells Becky where they're going. She says, I learned how to read lips by watching spy cartoons." So she watches. So they're able to. Becky uses her student ID, tapes like a message to it, and throws it out the window while Damien distracts. So Anya tries to do something by saying she has to go to the bathroom. Then and basically she's told to sit down by the terrorist, and then she learns use her mind reading to learn where they're going. And then basically Damien, like when he he does a distract saying he's about to poop his pants, and then that distracts the terrorist stuff for Becky to throw her student ID and the message out the window, and then then the terrorists put something on Anya, like basically like a bomb collar thing on Anya's neck, but Anya reads the mind saying that it learns that there's no bomb in it, it's fake. Then she's like starts being calm. Everyone's like, "How are you so calm?" They starts tapping. Everyone's like, "You retard! Don't do that." Well, I mean, they say you is because they're not gonna use the word retard in Spy Family, but basically they were saying, "You retard! Don't do it! Don't touch it." Then Damien like basically says that he says, "Hey, I'm a better hostage." So then he puts a collar on his chest. Anya says, "Hey, don't worry. I heard that these were fake. These were good." He's like, "Ugh." So everyone tries to like basically calm down, deal with it, and then the SSS and Wise are trying to figure out what to do. Twilight's unaware because he's on another mission. Yuri Breyer basically he doesn't care about Anya, but he cares about Yor being sad about Anya being dead. So he wants to help. Basically, his bot superiors don't want him because since his family doesn't know he's in the SSS. So his idea is so basically he once he learns probably where the bus is at, it's like, hey, we got say, hey, I know some informants in this area. We would so yeah. So that's like yeah, so basically these were really good episodes. It's so like the fight of Anya, her how she acts while having the bomb on her on her neck, well, fake bomb, is so funny. Then when she says that her and Damien have matching bomb collars, that bit was funny. And Lloyd's acting ability with the whole stuff with his superior. Crap, that was funny. It's like what the heck? Like I thought this whole thing was funny. These episodes were great. I thought these were really good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Kingdom season 6, episodes 6 and 7. So in these episodes, while the Chin army is defending the city they has captured, there's an issue. So Wei Jian disappears, and everyone's like, "Where the frick is he?" So Liwei, which is the city, basically, it's revealed that the whole city is itself a trap. So it's designed to be easy to take and weak to defend because so basically when Zhao retreats, they'll and bring in reinforcements, whatever. Basically, they can surround it an invading enemy due to Leeway being hard to defend. Like that's like a very very odd strategy Lima uses. That's actually very genius. Shin was the only one to not catch it because obviously he's kind of an idiot. And then basically yeah, so and then so then Wayne Jin returns and tells them they're going to take this random city, and basically no one knows why. So they take the city. Then once Wayne Jian basically he addresses the public there, like basically. So the reason is, and basically it says, hey, we got to take your provisions, but we're going to let you live. Just leave. And so basically you see all these refugees heading towards Hondon, basic, basically the capital Zhao, and basically all these refugees gain into the city. So it's revealed so when Shin basically is annoyed about why basically they're doing ransom instead of going towards Ye, basically he in front of everyone asks, "Hey, what the heck are we doing?" Wayne Jian and basically everyone is shocked because like what don't they know Shin's dumb enough to be the only one brave enough to say anything. Wayne Jian says basically we're clearing out the He basically, hey, we're gonna split up, take these small villages. So the plan is to clear out the villages, the small towns, and evacuate all the civilians to where they would become refugees, go towards the capital, and like my guess is to help starve resources, like make a siege go by quicker. And so Limu asked the king to help and helping deal with the refugee issue. And then the king basically like he basically says he doesn't care about the people as long as he's safe. He doesn't care. Limu uh hates the king. Like he likes Zen as a king better than his own king. But out of loyalty to his nation, he will not betray for Zen. He will not defect out of loyalty. Now, in the case, and that's basically meant to be kind of the point. So that's setting up the next bit where like, they're basically going to try to see if they can starve out the enemy, like the target city, basically in time to where they could defeat Limu. So it's a very strange strategy. Like basically it's insane of how I was like, who would have thought someone would come up with that? Like it is an interesting strategy. So basically Wayne Jian makes himself look like a good guy to the people by sending them, and then yeah, so yeah, good. I thought these were good episodes. I liked it, and then yeah, so this was a, I think it was a I thought these were good episodes. Though. I liked them. The battles were interesting. The way Wayne Jian's mind works was cool to see because he's shown as like a very odd figure, like a very imposing figure. What's he supposed to be, especially given like some of the historical information that does exist about him, like like basically because Wayne Jian's regarded as one of the great generals of the Warren States period in history. You know, I'm not gonna get into like some of the actual history there because that there's some big spoilers there. But Wayne Jian is very important. Now I don't even think the manga's gotten to this point yet. Like I don't think yeah, I don't think the manga's gotten to the point yet. And yeah, so I thought this was a real these were really good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Through Your Eternity, Season 3, Episodes 6 and 7. So when these episodes, so basically, Fushi and Bond try to deal with the return of the knockers. So yeah, so then Fushi and Bond come across this little girl named Mimori, who basically is possessed by a knocker, and so they're trying to figure out whether or not it's peaceful. The knocker's peaceful, and they confront. Fushi just wants to kill the knocker because of the past. Knockers aren't really harming anyone right now, so it's confusing. But Fushi just wants to because very much obsessed with peace, so he tries to. But we see Mimori's like a kid. He's like he can't do it, but then Mimori has the sword stab her, and then basically Mimori's brother, um, basically yeah, so like Miri's brother then tries to then basically tries to take Miri, but then they're almost hit by a car, and then this kid appears, stops time or whatever, and carries those two back to their house. And then Fushi and Bon find the kid, revealed to be the Beholder or Man in Black. Basically explains that he basically went reincarnated as a human, and basically in a few years he'll forget everything. He'll just live as a normal human. Basically, he doesn't know what the Knocker's goal is. Basically, things are peaceful. So basically, Knockers are just smaller. They're the concentration of Knocker blood, like DNA in the body. Basically, not as it's not as I guess thing. So they're not as big of a threat. So Fushi's still trying to figure out how to do it. So and then the next episode you have so yeah uh so you see Mimori's step brother, basically it's step brother, um whose name is Hirotoshi. You see basically he's like he makes money playing video games. Apparently he makes good money, but he still lives with his father, who I guess has some good money. And like so and there's like a flat we see like he wakes up and we see his flashback. So Hirotoshi, he had a bunch of basically play video games a lot. He basically lived like a neat, so like he would a bunch of trash everywhere, and then and he had like a bunch of like um lowly stuff. You know that's just what he had, and basically he like so some maids come in throw basically almost all the stuff basically as much stuff as they can out, and then he well he and then uh, basically hmm, so then so his father then marries like like some woman who's like around the same age as Hirotoshi, and basically so now Hirotoshi has a new stepsister Mimori. Now since he's like enamored with Mimori, so he like kind of is like stalking her, and it is such a it was a very disturbing first half of the episode. Like it was uncomfortable to watch. I was like, what what the I was like, what the frick is this guy? So while his father and stepmother are on their honeymoon, basically basically he's in charge of Mimori, and so Mimori's very shy. She doesn't open up, but then like when he goes to like the parent teacher day, whatever, his father sees too tight for him. He sees like Mimori jump like fall from a roof, and he goes out, sees blood, then see Miri there fine. And basically, Miri's personality is all different. Basically, it's believed this is the point where the knocker possessed her. It's hell implied this is when the knocker possessed her, and then she's like her personality is different. Then like when he notices the difference, and then when whatever stuff when Fushi stabbed her, how she's healed. Basically, he knows that something's different with Mimuri. And then later, you see Fushi try like you see Fushi try to confront Mimori, like the knocker, and Mimori uses like a basically a weed eater to attack Fushi. So they're all trying to like cut each other, and then it's like a weird fight, and so the fight basically the fight ends. So obviously one thing is so Fushi obviously has issues with school. He doesn't under like okay, I'm gonna be honest. Why is Bond having them go to school? I don't know. I feel like, in, in my personal opinion, I feel like I've been smarter for Bond to help them get acclimated to society before sending them to public school and stuff. Because obviously Fushi doesn't understand how school works. You know, I don't know how Tonari. I haven't read. I think I've only read one chapter of the manga. Like, I've only read the first chapter. I haven't read the rest of it. I plan to get around to that at some point. But like, for I don't know how Tonari has adjusted to school, like school assignments and stuff like that. Now, one of the things that happens with Fushi, the episode 6, was that he was trying to understand what love is. He transfers to a turtle. Now the turtle is pregnant, so he swims around the ocean and he lays eggs on the beach. He doesn't know why he feels. Then he transfers human. He asks Mishaha to teach him about love. Mishaha agrees, and then so so Fushi's fight with Marie. So Hirotoshi sees it, so I guess he knows now about the knockers. And then yeah, this was a dude. This was so yeah. So in it, uh, it, it episode 7 was just so freaking disturbing. Like, gosh, I was not a fan of episode 7. I liked episode 6. I did not like episode 7. Like, basically, like it tried to portray Hirotoshi as a good guy. I'm like, there's nothing good about him if if considering some of his preferences. Like, no. Oh gosh. But no, so I liked episode 6. I did not like him. Episode 7, portraying Hirotoshi as like a more heroic figure, that pissed me off. That pissed me off. I'm like, no, this guy's a freaking villain. He is a villain. Like, and of course, Fushi trying to learn more about society. That's one thing. I feel like that's what I want to see folks on. Fushi learning more about modern society right before he goes to public school. I mean, considering he does AIDS, they could easily be able to explain, have him learn more about society. Or if he, when he was like, basically healing the earth and stuff, if he was, gradually learn more and knew everything about society, that'd been one thing. So, yeah, so I liked episode 6, did not like episode 7. I'll watch the next one. I hope it's an improvement over episode 7 because episode 7 was not good in my opinion. Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider, episodes 6 and 7. So in this one, these episodes, you see basically the Kamen Rider group fighting Spider-Man, and like so basically, yeah, so when Spider-Man leaves, all the Shocker commands, disintegrate, like they did in the original show. And then so the whole group heads towards a tavern run by Futaba, who's the younger sister of Ichio, and well, I can't remember if Futaba was older than Mitsuba or younger. Anyway, where they basically the group celebrates Mitsuba and Yukarisu's marriage. And so Yukarisu like decides to join the group against Shocker. Now she's concerned about that Shocker could kill her as soon as possible. And so Futaba doesn't like Ichio because basically his obsession with Kamen Rider, like basically like all a bunch of people, I guess classmates, looked down upon her because of her brother, and that led to her being isolated. Now she congratulates Mitsuba on his marriage. She tolerates Mitsuba more than, I guess Ichio. So I'm guessing she's the middle child because we see Mitsuba go to school with Ichio, so maybe like now the question is where was Futaba during the whole chakra attacks? Now what's funny is Futaba actually has her strength is almost up to level of Ichio. And so near the end, you see, the cow, the Yakuza guy, who's like a shocker fan. Basically, he's asked to fight, he's challenged to fight these opponents. Basically, is the bet. Then he fights the next one, and that leads, and some other attacks happen. The guy who he was about to fight, it turns out to be Spider-Man, and then so he sees Spider-Man kill all these people. Then he sees guy, he gets stabbed, and he asks to be able to join Shocker, and he wakes up with Shocker powers. Basically, he can transform into a combatant, so he has some like enhanced strength, and we see his backstory. So he his father was basically owned a struggling taiyaki business. Basically, he had a bunch of debts he couldn't pay. So Nakao started off as a fan of Kamen Rider. So basically, his father, in order to pay off the debt, sold himself to a wealthy woman, and he basically had to send Nakao to live with his grandfather. Basically, it looks like they had not met each other in like decades. So basically, yeah. So and then so when the cow he learns how he figures out how to control his transformation, and then he sees like his father alive running his taiyaki business, and he saves his father's shop from a rival yakuza gang. He does not reveal his identity, but like when he defeats those yakuza members as a shocker combatant, they see there's like people start taking photos and videos. There's like a shocker hero, and then you see Tojo's group reacting to that, and they're like, "What?" So yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. To where obviously you have the silly stuff of where you have Kamen Rider versus Shocker. Now you have like you know, obviously there's a lot of dark stuff. Now what's the whole deal with the real Shocker? Well, real Shocker within the show. That's gonna be interesting because honestly, I would not be surprised if it's just another otaku, uh, Kamen Rider otaku who's just a fan of Shocker wanting to recreate it. I would not be surprised if that's the case. I mean, I've not read the manga, so I don't know. But if it is, it'd be kind of funny, and there's a way. And I think it could work out very well. But yeah, I thought these were good episodes. I really liked how they handled the cow. Like, it looked like they were just gonna ban him in favor of Shocker, but then you had like they brought him back, have him join Shocker, makes sense. So now you have like and he showed that he went from being a Kamen Rider fan to being a Shocker fan. That was interesting. And so with him, I guess obviously he was saving his father. So now you got an interesting thing. So with the Shocker hero, everyone's gonna be like, okay, what's going on? So you have Conrad, you have Shocker. To my knowledge, within the show itself, it hasn't led to like a rise in popularity of of the Kamen Rider franchise. Like, which would be a funny thing. Like you have like, I mean, heck, if something like that happened in real life, and I was like owning Kamen Rider like that, I would be like, let's get rerun. I'll be like, let's get reruns going. We gotta market it. We gotta take advantage of this free marketing that some otakus have given us. Like, I mean, if I was from business standpoint, I would take advantage of it because that is just free marketing. Like, I'd be like, let's do some special deals. Let's. see if we can get some reruns, like syndication, all that. Like, I thought these were good. So the stuff with the cow's father, like that was some good writing there. So yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Born After the Apocalypse, episodes 6 and 7. So in these episodes, so Yoko and Irie, they go to Umihotaru, in Tokyo Bay, where they find these mutated like animals. So you have looks like some mutated rats. I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic world, so it makes sense. There's some mutants out there. So basically, there's like some petrochemical that was infecting some things, and then so you see so Yoko gradually gains memories of some places she's now been to, and she injures her finger, but it heals weird. So it looks like there's a mystery regarding her. And then after that, they go to basically they then find this underground facility where they scan for like health scans and potential upgrades. So and they find like this shrine where they basically they write their prayers, which is basically just to travel with each other forever. And so yeah, so they get their health assessments. Yoko scan is a basically she's healthy, and basically Irie's scan health scan is not shown. Basically, it shows she possibly upgraded, and then once they return to the surface, um, basically Irie's touringgram app, um, basically there's something about I guess the facility that they were at with some communication networks, some internet, which is a rare thing in the current state of the world. And then yeah, so basically, obviously, there's a mystery around what technologies left, like how did some technology survive whatever the apocalypse was. Like it's obviously it's interesting because there's still the mystery about Yoko's memories, what's going on there. Like this could be like I thought this was these were interesting. So it looks like they're interesting a bunch of mysteries. I looking forward to seeing fulfilled. So yeah, I really like these episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Phineas Ferb, season 5, episodes 17 and 18. So in these segments for these episodes, so in the episode 17, the first segment, basically, Vanessa and Monty, they're dating. They arrange a dinner with them and their respective fathers to basically, but that leads to a whole fighting. Basically, Monogram, Doof embarrass themselves and the family. There was children, and Carl and Perry are there to help, I guess, moderate things. And so yeah, and then yeah, so while all this is going on, you know, basically yeah, so then Phineas and Ferb they're doing like a drone light show, and there's not much of it. It's mostly the Perry stuff that's more relevant. And then Candace tries to show like her mother the drone show, but obviously she fails. Very obvious. And then the second segment, so the bread bowl hot tub that Buford's been wanting, we finally get it. And then Buford's the only one gets to join it. The others are like, yeah. Everyone's like, yeah, no. Now they fill it with clam chowder. Now, so Doofenshmirtz uses a carbowayonator, basically removes bread from around them. So and it teleports Buford's bread bowl hot tub with him to a remote island. So Buford's stranded on the island, and he starts talking with the hot tub, and yeah, and he calls the hot tub Chaldina, and so Buford befriends like different animals. When he finds seals trying to eat Chaldina, becomes a bully again and scares them off. Tries to get back to civilization. So he starts trying to get back, and then you know the invaders reverses, so all breakaway Chaldeans return to Danville, and so Buford, who's Ryan and Chaldino, also returns as well. Buford gets overcome by cravings for carbs, and basically all the bread falls to the earth. So Buford and Chaldino crash the ocean, where Chaldino, I guess, sinks and basically says, "quote goodbye" to Buford. So Buford returns to the backyard. Bieber says that tells Phineas Isabella Baljeet that Chubby is gone, but will live in his heart forever. Everyone's like, okay. Yeah. And Ferb arrives randomly at the end. And then the next episode, you have entrance exam, basically. So Carl and Monogram had to inspect all, like, Perry's lair entrances. And so Monogram gives instructions to Carl. And this is due to Doofenshmirtz being on vacation, so Perry doesn't have a mission to go to. Candace hears Monogram's voice, thinks his voice is a mysterious force. So when Phineas Ferb are trying to create the perfect Arnold Palmer, which that's a whole bit where basically there's arguments between like some of them about like what's the perfect how to best do it, which Ferb adds like a mint to it that makes the flavor perfect, I guess. And so Candace fails to of course bust Phineas and Ferb. So when Perry like uses there's a mercy hazard that causes like the whole setup to fall into I guess Perry's lair. Perry closes the emergency hatch to in order to obviously not get exposed. And then so Candace fails to bust Phineas Ferb. And there's a whole bit so if you remember how the zebra calls Candace Kevin, so Monogram like is talking to Carl, so Candace and Stacy think that the mysterious force is calling her Carl. That's a whole funny bit. Now, why Stacy doesn't know what the whole actual deal is, I don't know. Like, cause she does know about Perry being a secret agent, because the whole technicality that I guess she and Perry just don't deal with. Yeah, and then and that whole bit was funny. And so then you have the next segment. So next of the episodes, then it's so Buford and Baljeet, they're pissed that a fan show they like called Stumbleberry Finkbat got canceled right before the finale aired. So fans' idea is that the group will create their own ending by doing like a LARPing like thing. Like they build giant dungeon. Candace tags along in order to bust him, but she ends up helping out and dealing with traps. And so there's a whole bit. And then while this is going, so in the dungeon, there's a whole thing called the Puzzle Night, and there's like a man in really dark gray who saves Candace. It's really Jeremy who basically saw flyers, about it, so he decided to get involved, and he admits to Candace that he likes LARPing, and Candace like admits that she had fun. The whole thing collapsed before Linda returns, and while this is going, like appears on a dating reality show after being frustrated with online dating. And okay, here's why the online dating show is called Passion Villa, and Vanessa advised against it. So okay, here's my freaking opinion about it. So if you have problems with online dating, why would you think a reality show would be better? I feel like a reality show is an even worse place to find a date than freaking online. Because with reality, you gotta deal with you have to deal with viewers' opinions of you. Because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in those shows that's fixed. It's like it'd be like, hey, if you screw this one person, we'll give you some like basically. I think there's a lot of stuff in those shows that's fixed, like a lot. And it's basically those are celebrity relationships, and a lot of them probably don't last very long. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm sure there's a few of those where they actually do result in very happy marriages. I'm sure there's a few. Like I'm sure there's a few. But that's not what those shows. Those shows are designed for degeneracy. Now now Phineas Ferb doesn't get into the actual issues with those reality shows. It does not get into that. Thankfully, that would Disney has had some issues in recent years, with kids programming, but I do not think they would put that into. I do not think they would put like some of those dating reality show like what those actually are. I don't think they would actually show what that is in like in Phineas and Ferb. And there's a little bit where Norm tries to go on a date with someone named Robotina, but he learns it's a human LARPing as a robot. And Norm says he's been human fished, so like catfished. So Doof, so he basically creates a shaking up in there in order to like help himself cause chaos. Phineas goes undercover in the cast and fights him on the island. Yeah, basically, Doof was making the error because he was having trouble, and like so obviously things don't work out for Doof. Hmm. Yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Yeah, the whole dating show thing was weird. That was kind of dumb. And the vacation bit probably could have like the whole like in episode 18, Doof honestly could have been left out entirely because that was kind of the dumbest part. But overall, these were all these episodes were good. Like they were decent episodes. So yeah, I like these episodes for the most part. Looking forward to the next one. Digimon Beat Break episodes 1 through 7. So this is a new Digimon show. So finally was able to catch up with Digimon. What I could, so I caught up with this show. So yeah, so how this show goes, basically, so the premise of the world in this show, so Digimon are not like some well-known thing within this show. So it's not like Digimon are fake. So basically, you have this thing called E-Pulse. It's generated by human thoughts and emotions. It's used for as an energy source for an AI support device called Sapotama. And so now, basically, Digimon, they're living beings. They evolve by consuming E-Pulse. So there's the main character is a kid named Tomoro Tenma. So he doesn't trust Sabotama, so he has a high amount of E-Pulse. It can affect other people's like basically like he's like basically he has so much E-Pulse in him like Digimon can sense him. So he's like a major target. So what happens is Tomoro's brother, um Asuka, like older brother. Basically, I guess he knows about Digimon. Like you know, he helps Tomoro escape, and basically, so Asuka gets infected with cold heart, which is some illness to where the human body, like when too much E-pulse is drained, the body freezes, like frosts, whatever, and basically the victim becomes comatose. So Asuka's in a coma, so he's not dead. There's not a known as far as like a cure. It's weird. So one character named Hitomi Shinomiya, was able to get like I guess healed. So yeah, so obviously like so it leads to a question about some of the Sapotama. And so you have like, so Tomoro joins a group called Glowing Dawn. Basically it's a group of bounty hunters that hunt for Digimon. It's led by Kyo Sawashiro, and you have, other members like so and it's humans and Digimon. So Tomoro, I guess, is paired with Gekomon, and so that happens, and then so you have other members. You have Reina Sakuya and Prestimon, Makoto Kuwanji, and Chirapmon, and so Kyo, the leader, is paired with Murasamemon, and basically, they do some jobs and try to find basically they go after different Digimon. And so yeah, basically, obviously we're still early on. I don't know how long this Digimon show will be on. Obviously, Ghost Game, the last show, went on for like a while. I think it was like 67 episodes. So this one could go for a while. I don't know. So far, am intrigued by it. It's definitely an interesting show. So you see, there right now, there's not like too much. You have like your villains of the week. You have like your a few multi-part, arcs. Like there was this whole panda Digimon who was helping this like I guess this old like boss of like this village. Like basically it's like a Yakuza type system. Like now more very no not like strict like gangsters like basically it's more like I guess like a respect thing like based almost like the panda was like the boss's son or whatever. It was like the cup of sake thing, like the whole thing from where it's like you drink the cup of signifying that you're the son of the boss, like you're a servant. It's not like you're equals, like the cup of brotherhood thing that that One Piece made very famous. I mean, it was probably well known. Anyway, I'm not don't know exactly, but the panda guy was cool. Like the panda guy was actually freaking awesome. So yeah, overall, I like these episodes. Interested in how they're introducing these characters. See some new Digimon. So I'm interested in what's going on. Obviously looks like there's some mystery regarding like E-Pulse, and obviously there's an issue of okay, the Digimon need to feed on the E-Pulse, but the humans, if they give up too much, they turn to frost. So obviously there's a conflict there. When it comes to like frosting over and well risk of death. So that's going to be a interesting thing that gets developed over time. So yeah, I like all these episodes. Looking forward to the next one. The Diplomat season 3. So this is a show I recently learned existed. Never heard of it. Then I learned, oh, there's a third season. Okay, it's some political thriller. Let's see what it is. So I basically binge watched the entire show. Now, and I learned I think there's a fourth season coming, so that should be interesting. Now, I mean, I like so for what I watched, the acting all throughout the show is really good. Like the acting is actually really good. Season 1 is definitely the best season, definitely the most developed. Season 2 starts out really good as they're building up the mystery. What pissed me off of season 2 is near the end, so when it's revealed that the vice president, you know, like Vice President Grace Penn, basically worked with Royland to plan the attack on, like, basically in the UK to kill all those sailors. Like, so the fact that, okay, the VP's evil. Okay. But then they went saying, oh, she did to protect, their plan was to protect democracy. So we understood, okay, We know Royland did it to give the British a common enemy, like the UK, everyone the rest, because you had the whole deal Scotland wanting independence, which will lead to Cascade Vale, Wales, and Northern Ireland wanting independence. Basically, it would decentralize basically the United Kingdom. You'll think it would cause like a bunch of revolutions, blah blah. Like so, he and so basically, like making Iran a common enemy would unite the UK. Okay, so it was a false flag operation, and then yeah, so and the British Prime Minister was unaware, and so it's real that both the British Prime Minister, you know, basically Trowbridge and President Rayburn were completely unawares. They were both manipulated by their immediate subordinates. So Rayburn, of course, died at the end of season two. Penn is now president. Now, one of the things that pissed off season two was before that happened, like for the whole Penn becomes president. So when Kate confronts Grace about Penn about it, Penn says the whole hey, if we let if Scotland gains independence, all this stuff happens. Oh yeah, democracy will be threatened around the world. So the big plan now apparently Royland planned the whole thing basically, but Penn got the conversation started. Is what I get there are times where it's a little confusing, like the plot is confusing sometimes, but it seems like look, Penn has a lot of responsibility for what happened. And that is why of course she was considered to be removed from the VP position because of that. So in the end season two it's like, oh yeah, yeah, so we will there's so many problems. Like basically where she's like, hey, I yes, we bombed this city. We bombed all these people in order to protect democracy. Because yeah, there will be a whole global upheaval and conflict if we don't do this. Which I'm like, okay, not really believable. I mean, you're not gonna see a bunch of freaking wars start over. Yeah, the UK decentralized. No, not when you have the US around. Like, gosh. Cause there was a lot of problems. Like, and then she said, yeah, saying and trying to make it look like she did like that. Penn, the way the show starts portraying is that obviously Penn is flawed, but she was doing something virtuous. So what? Like, it wasn't even done in the way. Let's say like the Naruto franchise with Danzo. Like Danzo was very obviously a villain. That was very obvious that he cared about the Leaf Village. That's very obvious, but he was still a villain. So like you didn't have excuses made for Donzo's actions. This show, the way it tries to portray it, it at times it makes me feel like, and then when Kate says that she would probably made the same decision that Penn did and sanctioned a false flag operation in the UK, I'm like, what the frick? You went from wanting to take the VP position to say, oh yeah, I would have done the same thing if I was in your shoes. What the frick? Like what? And like you have Hal who told the president. Like Hal basically looked the best out of it all. Like he was like, hey, he basically like was telling me, they look, here's what's going on here. Now Rayburn he had a heart attack off of that, and from hearing that, and he died. Now in season three, so Penn's the president. So the person who sanctioned a false flag operation in the UK is now the president. So now, and then Penn has Hal become her VP. Kate is pissed off because she doesn't. She's married to Hal, but she like basically doesn't like him. She like undermines him. So basically, Kate was Hal's employee. Then they later got married, blah blah. Basically, the marriage is like has a bunch of problems. The way, especially season three, is very obvious that Kate's more at fault for the marriage problems than Hal. Like Hal tries to work things out. Kate basically the way that she doesn't want to work things out. Like and Hal is he comes across a lot better as a person than Kate does throughout as overall in this show. Because Kate uses her time to as basically so Kate stays as ambassador. She wants to keep doing her job instead of just being but she's willing to pull the first lady card well the second lady card when she needs to. And then yeah, so and she has sex with the MI6 spy. She has an affair with so the second lady of the United States has an affair with the MI6 spy, and she doesn't think it's a national security concern. Like that, and she knows he's an MI6 spy. Like that is an actual that is a national security. Yes, the UK is generally an ally of the US. You still don't do that. Like gosh, like basically yes, Kate is very intelligent. She does there's so many common sense problems here. And then like it, and so Kate's idea so when there's some Russian bull is about to reveal that the US was involved in the attack against the UK, Kate's idea is to put the blame so Hal and so everyone they recommend that Penn take responsibility for it, admit that she did it, and basically work to basically greatly fix Trowbridge's the British economy to help Trowbridge in exchange for keeping it secret. Now, Kate's idea. Now she says she doesn't like the idea because if it becomes public, because it's believed that if that happens, it's inevitable that Penn's role will become public. Then Penn will be impeached and removed from office, as she should. But she says, yeah, we shouldn't do that because that would mean Hal's the president. Hal's only recommending is because he wants to be president. Well, honestly, I think okay. That's fine. That's a good idea. Given the stuff Penn did, like sanction a false flag operation on one of the U.S.'s allies, yes, Hal is a significantly better choice as president than Grace Penn. Like significantly. Now, one about I don't recall it being said what political party each one's a part of. Like each person, I don't think the political parties are ever said. So who knows? So hey, who it seems like she just acts in spite of out of spite for Hal. It just a lot of stuff comes across as just spite for Hal that she just doesn't like the guy. It's like okay, either work your marriage out or I don't know. I work your freaking marriage out or get out of freaking politics. Because clearly the business is really screwed up the marriage. Like both of them should get out of politics if it's doing that much damage to their marriage. Like both of them. Now Hal, like now then there's the whole issue. Like Hal comes across the best in this from a moral standpoint. I mean, it's a low bar set throughout the show. You're dealing with a bunch of politicians. Morals are hard to hard to come by. Anyway, so Trowbridge, so they go with Kate's idea of blaming Rayburn since he's dead. It was like, hey, he's a dead guy. What's he gonna say? He refuted. So Grace tells Trowbridge that Rayburn did it. Then Trowbridge reveals it to the public about Rayburn do it, and so shocks the world. Now everyone believed that Trowbridge would keep that intel secret in exchange for basically gain a lot of yeses to requests. which tactically probably would have been a smart play. Get as much from the U.S. as possible without in exchange for not revealing, you know, the the truth about the attack. Like tactically, there is some sense in that. Like, yeah, now Trowbridge was acting very impulsively, and then there's a whole deal about this Russian nuclear source that has like a doomsday device called Poseidon that like leaks radiation is stuck like ne near the British coast. All sailors are dead. Aaron's trying to figure out how to deal with it. The British don't have the tech to be able to get the submarine get out. The U.S. does, China does, and I think Russia does. So the UK considers, so Trowbridge considers negotiating with China. Now the U.S. does not because they don't want China to have access to that weapon. So, but when Trowbridge doesn't trust the U.S. for obvious reasons, you know, basically there's a whole idea. So Kate comes over with the idea to just bury the whole thing in concrete, or to keep it from radiating, and to basically keep anyone from accessing it. Now, how Kate comes across the intel about the is from Callum, who's the Calmelus, who's the MI6 spy. So yeah, so then basically so once they deal with they try to bury it, and then there's a whole thing about like I guess apparently the weapon's already been retrieved, and then basically Kate tells Hal what Cal told her about someone possibly retrieving the weapons. Now Cal thinks it was the Russians due to radiation levels dropping a lot. Now after Kate and Hal's conversation, Kate realizes that it was Penn and Hal who ordered the recovery, and basically Kate's suggestion was used as a cover. And so, that's how the season ends. So Hal and Penn, obviously they're coming into Kate's crosshairs, so that's gonna be a conflict, in season four. You know, how that's gonna go, I don't know. But yeah, I want to like the season because there's some very interesting stuff. Like there is some interesting stuff like throughout this show, but betraying like the stuff with Penn, betraying Penn's actions of sanctioning a false flag operation as like, oh yeah, she's a good person. She was just misunderstood. She just wanted to protect democracy. I'm sorry, you don't protect democracy through false flag operations. Like that's no. Like no. Like cuz you don't cuz if information about something being false flag like gets out, that causes a lot of problems. Like gosh, like it is so freaking like it just pisses me off. And the stuff with Kate, like some of the dumb things she does, like screwing an MI6 spy, even after knowing that he was an MI6 spy. Given her position, she should not be doing that. That is just a fact. Like, yeah, so I'm not a fan of this show, like of this season. The Running Man 2025. So this is a an adaptation of the 1982 novel that's a lot more closer to the novel than the 87 movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger was. So the 87 movie, basically you had like I think it was like it kept the main character's like name, and then you had yeah, you have a right man, you're fugitive, running from hunters and stuff. And then yeah, so This one you have Ben Richards played by Glenn Powell. Basically, he try after being blacklisted, from work and stuff. He tries out for the game shows at the network in the slums of he lives in slums of Co-op City. So freebies like the whole TV thing that you have reality game shows and stuff. So Richards' wife Sheila is a hostess at Gentlemen's Club, and so their infant daughter Kathy is sick. They don't have money to pay for the flu, like the medicine to fix Kathy's flu. So Ben, gets some money, tries out for all the game shows. His personality, his physicality, like he's selected for the Right Man, which is the most popular show. So of course, if a rider survives 30 days, they can win $1 billion. Then you have a lot of the hunters are trying to you know hunt Richards, and so then two others, and so yeah, so then basically hmm, so one thing that happens is that Richards has to give some tapes, just as proof of life and all that stuff, and then one thing happens, so one of the recorded videos that have been made is digitally altered by the Running Man, crew, and basically, yeah. So, but then like with Richard doing what he does, Richard's doing what he's like staying alive. Like a lot of people get inspired, like by Richards, and then yeah. So basically, he tries to. So Ben, when he gets there, he unwillingly takes like a hostage or something. Like name Amelia Williams. Basically, gets in her car. She's unwillingly, like basically, and then like there's a whole deal. She's kind of like a hostage for a little bit, even though it's all part of the game. But Ben does try to protect her, and so yeah. So then basically pretending that something in Ben's pocket is a bomb. They're able to get on a plane or to fly to like Canada, and so all the remaining hunters are like the flight crew on the plane. Killian calls Ben, who Killian, Danny's like the head of the network. Basically, like tells Ben that he knows that you know Ben was bluffing, and but he offers that you know hmm, he tells Ben that Sheila and Kathy were killed by the hunters for revenge for the death of their teammate. And that footage is screened on the Running Man to get people to pull for Ben as a way to you know basically cheer the audience, get higher ratings. And then yeah, so then so Ben kills like all those bounty hunters, including McCone. And then so McCone like is revealed to be a runner from the first season who survived 29 days. Basically, what happens after a very violent fight, Ben's offered the same deal that you know uh like basically so the same so the first season of the show, so McCone like was a runner. He was a runner, survived 29 days, so 1 day short of the 30. So then basically Killian like takes up uses autopilot to take over the plane that Ben's on. Ben lets Amelia get out. And it's believed the post story is that The plane was about to crash through the building, but then it was blown out of the sky. Now, and it's like, hmm. And so after that, there's like a whole thing like, hey, is he dead? Is he not? What actually happened? Then basically the main host of Running Man, you know, so like yeah, so like the main like basically Dan, so Killian takes over the host job, the original host quits, and then there's a whole crowd of protesters there protesting for Richards. So Richards, who everyone thought was like dead, like appears and then shoots the hmm, he shoots Dan, and that's how it is. So here's what I say: overall, that was a decent movie. The ending kind of pissed me off. I wish we had just gotten the Stephen King ending. Like you could save like the stuff after that if they were gonna do like a sequel, like about like explain how they were like how the like how Ben was able to live, how his wife and daughter were able to survive despite being allegedly murdered. Like some of that should have been saved for a potential sequel to explain all that and just do the book ending. But overall, I thought it was a decent movie. Like the acting's really good, set design was cool, a lot better on basically every department than the Schwarzenegger movie. Yeah, overall, I like this movie. Well, and that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.